Hey y'all, welcome back to Techniques of the Week. It is a Tuesday, and I am sorry it has been a crazy Tuesday, and I'm just getting this to you now. So, sorry about my delay, but today we're going to be talking about problem solving versus coping skills. So, what we're going to really focus on is identifying where the stress is coming from and determining on if this is a stress that you can change or a stress that you cannot change. The former being if you can change the stress, we want to use some sort of problem solving strategy. Whereas if it's a stress that you cannot change, we want to use a coping skill for those. Then we'll do a quick challenge and best ways to contact me. This is just kind of a breakdown of identifying a stressor and figuring out what you should do in terms of problem solving or coping. Quick check ins. I am more than, well, not I, we are all more than halfway through this craziness. I don't think I'm the only person that's going to say that this has not been my favorite experience. So I'm really looking forward to being done and hoping to get back to some semblance of meeting with you guys in person in the fall. Media review. When I played Rock Band with Hadley, it was a big hit. And I shouldn't say that we played Rock Band. Really, what I did was I plugged the drum set in so that she could hit the drums as hard as she wanted to and hear the noise. And kind of just a big toy, but she loved it. And a random fact, crossing things off of a list. So if you compile all the tasks that you have to do, all of the things that are stressing you out, and you check them off or cross them off, doing that, checking those boxes actually releases dopamine, which dopamine is kind of your happy happy chemical in your brain. It works in your brain as a neurotransmitter and it provides you with feelings of happiness and accomplishment. So when you cross things off of a list, you get a big jolt of that, and that can make things really, really rewarding and really, really fun. So, identifying stress, this is things that make us feel nervous or afraid or anxious or worried. So, I wanted to give you a second to just think about what are some of the things right now that are making us feel nervous or that make us feel anxious or that make us worry or things that keep us up at night. I'm going to share one. I had my first online IQ test today, and I was really struggling with it. I was really anxious about it and worried that it wasn't going to go well or that it wasn't going to be valid. And it went pretty well, but I did lose a little bit of sleep last night thinking about it. So, where stress can come from, it can come from family, school, work, or even friends. Yesterday, we talked about how stress is a good thing a lot of the time. It helps motivate us, and if we didn't have any stress, then we wouldn't ever do anything. Stress can come from positive sources as well, like getting together with friends or just being there for a friend or reaching out and trying to get a hold of a friend. And stress can be real things. So it initially evolved in us as being afraid of scary animals or heights or really dark places or going too fast. So stress can be from something that is real in our environment that we can really see and label and identify. But stress can also be things that we just have to do, like schoolwork or tests or chores or trying to do something new or maybe even like public speaking or even just being a friend or a family member can also be stressful. So, we're going to talk really quickly about stress that you can change. Some examples of stress that you can change are if you've got a really messy room and you need to clean it up, or if you've got something to do for homework, if you have like a writing assignment or a math worksheet, or building a Lego set can be stressful. Putting all of those things together can cause stress, especially if you get one thing wrong and you don't realize it, and then you get to the very end and realize that it's not going to fit or just having a ton of things to do can be very stressful as well. So, some problem solving strategies I wanted to go over when there is a stress that you can change include getting organized. This is a really good first step. Making sure that everything is in its own place. We can use folders, containers, boxes, and really note the things that you might need and make those more available or accessible. Some of the things we don't necessarily use all that often can sort of go in the back or tucked away a little bit further, but the ones that we do want to use should be at the top of that organized pile. I'm also a huge fan, most of you guys know this, of starting a list and putting things in terms of their priorities. So I've got a ton of things to get done. Let me write them all out so that I can stay organized, but then also rank them in terms of what I need to do first. One thing that I'd like to point out here is to Structure in some fun breaks. Nobody wants to work all day long all the time. We need to have some breaks every once in a while. So I usually recommend for most kids, elementary school to high school, have a break every hour. So every hour that you do something, maybe put in 15 minutes of a fun break. Or if you're younger and you want to do more breaks, that's fine too. So maybe half an hour of work or chores and then 10 minutes of a break. Last one is to create a calendar. Most of us have some sort of iPad or phone or device that we could use to create a calendar. A lot of times, this really helps keep us organized in terms of what we want to accomplish every day. We can also write in important dates and goals. And same with the list with fun breaks, include some fun dates. So, pencil in some time where you want to just go do a preferred activity, go to the park, go play a game, just something fun that you can put on the calendar. That way you can have something to look forward to. There's also a lot of times that we face stress that we cannot change. This could be being in a global pandemic, or when your favorite toy gets lost, or you left it behind somewhere, or if you dropped an ice cream cone and it's unsalvageable, you can't pick up ice cream off the concrete, or if your brother or sister said something mean. These are stresses that you can't change. And when we have a stress that we can't change, that's when we want to rely on some coping skills. So some of the basic ones are to treat your body right. My big three are always eat healthy, exercise, and get a good night's sleep, but also give your brain a break. So this is something that you can do throughout the day. Mindfulness activities, taking deep breaths, or just zoning out. Most kids are surprised when I say, I really want you to daydream. Daydreaming is one of my favorite things to do. It's you just let your mind drift, you go wherever you want to go, you pretend whatever you want to pretend, and that can be really helpful for de-stressing and coping with some of the things that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. I also love to maximize the positive. So look for the best, look on the bright side, explore your strengths. What are you really good at? And do that for a little while just to build some confidence and get some momentum. Or one of my favorite things to do is try to make someone else's day. And if you can make someone else's day without them knowing it, that is like to the max next level. That's going to make you feel so much better about your own stresses if you're able to make someone else's day that much better. So this is that little flow chart that I showed you on the second slide. The best thing we can do is try to identify a single stressor. So we can be totally bogged down and have so many things going on that it just feels overwhelming. So the best thing we can do is try to simplify and identify one single stressor and then determine, is this a stress that I can change or is this something I cannot change? Now, if it's something that you can change, like work that needs to be done or chores that you've got to do, then you want to use some problem solving strategies to help make that stress feel a little bit smaller. If it's something that you cannot change, though, that's when we would want to use some of those coping skills that we've got. So I'm going to give you some examples in these next slides. So for this one, I have a lot of homework and chores I have to do. This is a stressor that you can change because you can get your homework done, you can finish your chores, you can make that stress go away. So for this particular example, we would want to use problem solving skills, or problem solving strategies, I mean. Another example, our family pet got sick and we had to let her pass away. It's very sad. I think most of us have experienced the loss of a pet at some point, and it's just part of owning a pet because most pets don't outlast us. So at some point, you might have a pet that you have to let pass away. This is not something that you can change. You can't go back and raise your dead pet from the ground. It's just not going to happen. So that's when we would want to use some coping skills. So a pretty quick lesson today. My challenge to you guys is to think about your best coping skills. What are you really good at when it comes to coping? And what are some of your best problem solving strategies? Are you organized? Are you able to create lists? Are you able to put things in a calendar? Are you able to really manage some of those stressors and use problem solving strategies? And do you know of any that you really struggle with? Do you know that organization is really hard? Or do you know that it's hard for you to get good exercise or to eat healthy? And which ones of those might you be willing to try? So just take a few moments to yourself and just think about, what are some coping skills that I haven't tried or problem solving strategies I know I struggle with? And could I give those a shot? Could I try to minimize some of my stressors by using something that's not usually my go-to. So that's it for today. Again, I'm sorry I was late posting this, but hopefully you guys are doing okay, and we will see you back around here later. Take care.